First, new data shows inflation dropping to its lowest level in months. Meanwhile, President Trump is blaming former President Biden for the nation's problems and claiming his administration is rapidly bringing prices down.
Here at home, we're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast.
But polls show Americans are increasingly dissatisfied with President Trump's handling of the economy. ABC News' Karen Travers and business reporter Alexis Christoforous are here with a little bit more on the data. So, Karen, this was a very combative, partisan speech by the president, and he covered a lot of the points that we've heard him say in speeches before. What message is he trying to get across here as he wraps up his first year back in office and also looks ahead to the midterms?
Yeah, it was a similar speech, Diane, to what we've heard him say when he's out on the road, when he's trying to do this as a campaign-style rally last week in Pennsylvania. He's doing another one this week in North Carolina. But normally, when presidents do addresses like this in prime time, it's because they're making a major announcement or something has happened that they want to address the American people. People want to hear from the president following a major event. That's not what happened last night. The White House had been teasing this as a chance for the president to tout his accomplishments, to try to convince Americans that they should be feeling better about the economy and about what he has done, and that he would look ahead to year two. Now, we didn't hear a lot of that second part. He didn't really look ahead and say, here are the policies I'm looking to pursue next year. But it was very defensive, and he was very aggressive as he went through what he says are his successes. But Diane, you said it. He was talking a lot about the Biden administration, a lot about Democrats. But when you look at polls right now, Americans are saying it's his handling of the economy that they're increasingly dissatisfied with, and they're frustrated right now by higher prices. And this was a big campaign promise from the president, and they feel he hasn't done what he said he was going to do.
Alexis, President Trump claims his administration is driving prices down. A new Quinnipiac poll shows a majority of Americans are unhappy with the state of the economy. But people's impression and the numbers don't always match up. So what does the data actually show here?
Well, we got some new data today, right? That inflation report, the first one we got since September. Good news is prices are, while they are still rising, they are rising at a slower pace than expected. So we were expecting consumer prices to rise 3.1% compared to a year ago. They rose 2.7%. But we're still seeing higher prices for a number of different basic essentials, food and groceries. We all know coffee and ground beef much higher, as you can see there on your screen, year over year. Furniture, used cars, new cars, also rent, medical care, energy. All of these prices higher year over year. So while we don't have the runaway inflation we had in 2022 when the inflation rate was above 9%, we are still seeing stubbornly high prices in specific categories. They call that sticky inflation. And so the president may be saying he's bringing prices down. In reality, prices are still going up, Diane.
So what does the report say about the impact of tariffs?
Well, right now, we know that a number of companies have admitted they've had to pass some of these higher costs on to consumers. A lot of the major retailers like Macy's, Best Buy among them. But a number of companies have also held off on raising those prices just because the tariff policies are very confusing. We're waiting for a Supreme Court decision to come down as to the legality of a number of those tariffs. So there has been a wait and see attitude, and a lot of companies have been staying on the sidelines. You know, January is usually a month where companies do a reset, and if they're going to raise prices, they happen at the beginning of the year. I think, we're not out of the woods yet by any stretch, and we could see companies decide, okay, we've shouldered the increase enough, and we're going to have to start passing that on to consumers in the new year.
Karen, last night the president also announced this warrior dividend. Just over 1.4 million service members, he says, are going to receive this check that's going to be paid for by money collected through these tariffs. So walk me through a little of the details here. How's this supposed to work?
Diane, this was probably the only announcement, the only new thing in the president's remarks last night. He's calling it a warrior dividend and says this is going to service members in the form of his money, $1,776. And of course, that is very symbolic in honor of the nation's founding. And last night, the president said that this was coming from tariff revenue. Now we're hearing from a senior administration official, Diane, Diane, that this money is actually from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the one big signature policy legislation, of course, that was signed into law earlier this year. And in that is a disbursement of $2.6 billion as a one-time basic allowance for housing supplements to all eligible service members. A senior administration official says in a statement that this exemplifies the administration's commitment to improving the housing and quality of life for military members and their families. That is not how the president framed this last night, Diane. He certainly made it seem like it was a check that was just going out to service members or a direct deposit even, but instead this is the administration saying it's money to go to help with their housing, and it's money that's already been allocated through that legislation.
Alexis Christoforous, Karen Travers, thank you both.